What will happen if the ingredients of the concrete is separating from each other? Then the homogeneous paste will not be formed and we will not get the concrete strength and durability. That separation of its ingredients from the concrete is called the segregation and the bleeding. So what is segregation, what is bleeding, and why it is happening, what is the best practice, and iska harmful effect kya hai? In today's video we will discuss about the concrete health and how to make the concrete is a good health. So stay tuned until the end to get the full information about the segregation and the bleeding of concrete. And if you are new in my channel, kindly subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that whenever I upload a new video, you will get immediate notification. So without wasting time, let's jump into the subject, that is segregation and bleeding of concrete. So हमने क्या बताया था कि segregation और bleeding what is mean, that is the separation of ingredient of concrete from its the homogeneous paste. तो क्या हो सकता है, कभी क्या होता है एग्रीगेट मतलब जो सॉलिड पार्टिकल वो सेपरेट हो सकता है. Sometimes the liquid particle, that is cement slurry or the water, can be separate. According to this, there are two type of separation. One is the solid particle, that is segregation, and another is the water particle, that is the bleeding of concrete. Both are harmful for the concrete. We need to be very precaution to avoid segregation and bleeding. So let's jump into the subject. And if you're new in my channel, can you subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon to get the update whenever I upload a new video. And also welcome to Internet Quality Academy. So let's jump into the subject. What is segregation? First we need to know. According to that, segregation of concrete refers to the separation of its components such as coarse aggregate, fine aggregates, cement and water during handling or placing. So as I discussed, separation of its ingredients, maybe the coarse aggregate, maybe the water particles, slurry, etc. When it is the solid particles, we are usually call it segregation. This leads to an uneven distribution of these materials, resulting in a non-uniform mixture that can compromise the quality and standard of the concrete structure. Now, concrete is a homogeneous paste. It's made for the coarse aggregate, then the fine aggregate, then the cement is a binder, and then water is reacting with the cement and make a hardened paste. Now, if these are not in place, immediately we can find out that the strength and durability will be a concern. So we need to be very precaution to avoid the segregation and the bleeding. See, here it is the coarse particle, that is the coarse aggregates coming above, and the water particle is separating. So what is happened, this not a homogeneous, ये homogeneous paste नहीं है. और homogeneous paste नहीं है तो इसका concrete का property सही ही नहीं होगा. तो क्या होगा कि वाटर एक तरफ चला जाएगा, स्लैरी एक तरफ, और ये एग्रीगेट एक तरफ. सो दे विल नॉट फॉर्म अ होमोजेनियस पेस्ट. सो दैट इज सेग्रीगेशन. नाउ what is bleeding? Bleeding is nothing but the separation of water. That is, bleeding of concrete is a form of segregation where water in the mix rises to the surface after the completion of has been placed and compacted. This happens because the heavier solid particles settle down while the lighter water rises on the top. So separation of aggregates is called segregation and separation of the water is called the bleeding. It is both are harmful. Now we need to check reason of segregation. See, there are a lot of reasons the segregation is happening, from starting point to the compaction, and everything is to be in very careful so that there will be no segregation and no separation is happening. So what is the reason of the segregation? There are a lot of reasons. First things, there is a excess vibration. Over vibration, the concrete mix can cause the heavier aggregate to settle down, separating from the finer particle. What is happening? Whenever we are doing the vibration देना पड़ेगा to remove the air voids from the concrete to get the right kind of concrete. But if the vibration is become over, and how to do the proper vibration, I have made a detailed video. Please check there or in the description. You will get full information that how to make the proper vibration. So we need to do the proper vibration. If it is excess vibration, क्या होगा ना, heavier particles settle down and separating from the finer particles. So water and cement will be separated from the coarse and fine aggregate. So the homogeneous mix will not be there, the concrete strength will not be achieved, and there will be density problem. So everything will be problem. So this one of the cause is the excessive over vibration. Then improper mix proportion, which is very crucial for the concrete strength and stability. That is, incorrect ratios of water, cement, and aggregates can lead to a lack of cohesiveness, causing the heavier particles to separate from the mix. So, if my mix proportion is not proper or as per the ICE code, then this separation can happen. So, how to make the mix design of a concrete or is a proper mix design? I have a detailed video, link is there or in the description. Please check, आपको पूरा आइडिया मिल जाएगा कैसे प्रॉपर मिक्स डिजाइन करते हैं एज पर IS 10262. So improper mix design, then over watering. Adding too much water can create a high water to cement ratio, reducing the cohesiveness and causing the aggregates to separate. So वाटर सीमेंट रेशियो अगर ज्यादा हो गया तो एक को सेग्रीगेशन हो सकता है. देन improper handling, dropping concrete from a significant height or moving it over long distance can cause the aggregates to segregate. So if the height as per code, its maximum height is allowed is 1.5 meter. If we are pouring the concrete more than 1.5 meter, so what will happen? Due to gravity, the aggregate, the height, heavier particle of aggregate will separate from the water. So again, this the segregation will happen और हमारा कंक्रीट का मिक्स प्रोपोर्शन सही नहीं होगा, कंक्रीट का स्ट्रेंथ डेवलप नहीं होगा, ड्यूरेबिलिटी को नहीं होगा और इसका स्टेबिलिटी भी नहीं होगा. देन पुअर क्वालिटी ऑफ एग्रीगेट, दैट इज ऑल्सो ए बिग प्रॉब्लम. यूजिंग एग्रीगेट दैट आर नॉट प्रॉपरली ग्रेडेड or too much flaky or elongated, that can contribute to segregation. That is why we need to do the proper sieving of the aggregates. We need to do the check the flakiness. We need to check the elongation. So these are all the things is required to make a proper mix or the concrete. If it is not, again the segregation or the separation it can happen. Then low fineness of cement. This fineness of cement is very crucial for the concrete mix design. We need to choose very carefully the fineness modulus of the cement. So cement particles that are too coarse do not retain water as effectively, leading to more bleeding. So we need to check the what is the fineness of the cement. Whenever we are doing any mix design, मेरे को क्या है फाइननेस क्या चेक करने का है. इज IS 269 इज डिस्क्राइबिंग द फाइननेस क्राइटेरिया ऑल्सो. तो उसमें भी आप चेक कर सकते हो कि कितना मेरे को फाइननेस होना है टू मेक अ प्रॉपर मिक्स डिजाइन. तो दीज आर द पॉसिबल रीजन फॉर द सेग्रीगेशन. देर आर ऑल्सो मेनी रीजन फॉर द ट्रांसपोर्टेशन. इफ द लॉन्गर टाइम इज ट्रांसपोर्टेशन or the transit mixer is not rotating, that is also a reason for the segregation. Next part is why segregation is harmful. That already I discussed. First thing, it is reduces strength. Strength segregation leads to a weak structure as the concrete mix become non-uniform, resulting in areas with less cement paste and excessive aggregate. So it is separating. So it will not react with the cement, water, and it will not make a homogeneous space. So it will reduce the strength. Then poor durability, already discussed. Non-homogeneous concrete is more susceptible to environmental damages, reducing the lifespan of the structure. Then compromise aesthetics. Some structure we are not doing any plaster or any painting. So what will happen if segregation can cause surface defect like honeycombing, leading to an unsightly appearances. So if the segregation is happen, honeycombing can happen, air voids, pockets can be happen. So it will look ugly. And so whatever the aesthetics we are proposing, that will not will get. Then increase permeability. So if there is a segregation, there is a void or there is a crack, or what will happen? So what will happen? The permeability will be increased and the water particles and the other sulfate and a chloride ion will ingress inside the concrete. And what will happen? It will react with the reinforcement and corrosion will happen. अगर corrosion हो गया, क्या होगा? इसका volume increase होता है और concrete को crack हो जाता है. और also एक chloride sulfate ion is harmful कंक्रीट के लिए. वो भी कंक्रीट के साथ रिएक्ट करेगा और आपका ड्यूरेबिलिटी कंसर्न हो जाएगा. सो दिस ऑल्सो इज हार्मफुल. देन फॉर्मेशन ऑफ वाटर पॉकेट्स. क्या होता है? ब्लीडिंग हो गया तो इट क्रिएट वाटर पॉकेट्स और वॉइड. सो व्हाट विल हैपन अंडर लार्ज एग्रीगेट और इनफोर्स वार लीडिंग टू वीक स्पॉट. कि आपका कंक्रीट के अंदर एक वॉइड create हो गया. So what will happen? Concrete will not get the strength and this void will be a weak zone and again this durability concern. Then cracks and shrinkage. Excessive bleeding can cause plastic shrinkage, cracks as the water evaporates from the surface. तो bleeding में क्या होता है? वाटर सरफेस में आ जाता है. अब ये वाटर क्या होगा? इवेपोरेट होगा सरफेस से, तो क्या होगा? श्रिंकेज, क्रैक डेवलप होगा. So this is also a very important for the shrinkage crack. We need to do the proper mix design and proper concrete. And delayed setting time. Bleeding can prolong the setting time of concrete, affecting the construction schedule. So these are the harmful effect of the segregation: reduced strength, poor durability, compromised aesthetics, increased permeability, formation of water pockets, cracks and sinkage, and delayed setting time. So we have already discussed reason for segregation and why segregation is harmful. Now we need to do the best practice of avoid segregation. Our target is to make our concrete as per the design criteria as well as the ड्यूरेबिलिटी क्राइटेरिया. तो हमने जान लिया कि सेग्रीगेशन गलत है, सेग्रीगेशन हार्मफुल है, ब्लीडिंग गलत है, ब्लीडिंग हार्मफुल है. नाउ हमको एक ऑप्टिमल डिजाइन करना पड़ेगा और बेस्ट प्रैक्टिस डेवलप करना पड़ेगा, सो दैट हमको सेग्रीगेशन नहीं आ जाए. वी कैन अवॉइड द सेग्रीगेशन. So what first things we need to do? The optimal mix design. This is the first things we need to do, and this is the first and foremost criteria that we need to develop a optimal mix proportion. That means ensure the concrete mix is designed with the correct proportion of water, cement, aggregates. If we cannot make the correct proportion of the concrete ingredients, you will not get the right kind of concrete, and the segregation and bleeding can happen. So first things, we need to follow the code and we need to do the mix design as per the code. And how to do the mix design, I have made detailed video. His link is there or in the description. Please check. You will get the full and information about how to prepare optimal mix design. Then proper handling techniques. Avoid dropping concrete from great heights and use proper equipment to transport and place the concrete. As I discussed, that how much will be the travel time and how you're getting from place A to place B, that the transit mixture should be there and it should be rotating one. And whenever you're pouring the concrete, the height should not be the more than 1.5 meter to avoid the separation of it ingredient. Then control vibration. This is also a very important criteria to avoid segregation or the bleeding. That is, use the right amount of vibration to compact the concrete without causing segregation. हम लोग क्या करते हैं, ज्यादा वाइब्रेट कर देता है, तो ज्यादा वाइब्रेशन सही नहीं है. ज्यादा वाइब्रेशन करेंगे तो हमारा वाटर पार्टिकल एंड द हेवियर पार्टिकल विल सेपरेट, एंड अगेन द सेपरेशन और द segregation will happen. Then quality of aggregate, as I discussed, that use well graded, clean and properly shaped aggregates, and it is not flaked one or elongated one. So aggregate property is very much important to avoid segregation and bleeding. Then adequate moisture control. Maintain the right water to cement ratio to ensure the mix is cohesive and workable. Water, if it is not there or if it is more, this is both are harmful for the concrete. So we need to balance the right way how to make the water cement ratio is optimal, so that we can get the right kind of concrete and there will be no segregation or no bleeding. So that is also important to maintain the water cement ratio as per the code. Then finer cement. Use cement with a higher fineness to improve the water retention properties of the mix. That already discussed. The fineness particle of the properties of the cement to be high, so that the binding property and the water retention property will be more, so that the cohesiveness or the intergranular particles force will be more, and that will not separate from each other. So these are the best practice to avoid segregation. So what we have discussed, what is segregation, what is bleeding, reason for segregation, why segregation is harmful, best practice to avoid segregation. Now I need to measure the segregation. How? That also it's important. What we can do, the visual inspection, observing the concrete mix for any sign of separation of non-uniformity during placement. The first things we need to check visually that there is anything separating or not. Then we can do the slam test. Performing a slam test, that is also check the consistency and cohesiveness of the mix. Then density measurement, measuring the density of concrete at different points to identify variation which can indicate segregation. So if the segregation is happening and we are taking the density from the different point, we will not get the same density of the concrete. That is indicating that there is a segregation or the separation is taking place on the concrete. And that also flow table test, especially for the self-compacting concrete, using the flow table test, the assess the flow and stability of the mix, ensuring no segregations occur. So if we here also, if segregation is happened, we will not get the right kind of measure of the floatability. So this way we can measure the segregation. And now we need to measure the bleeding also. How we can measure the bleeding? This is described in the annexure D of IS 9103. Please check that one and how to measure the bleeding. So in this video I will not discuss this one क्योंकि बहुत लंबा वीडियो हो जाएगा, पर bleeding also we can measure as per annexure D of IS 9103. So what we discuss in this video: what is segregation, what is bleeding, or what is the reason for segregation, why segregation is harmful, what is the best practice to avoid segregation, what is the measurement of segregation, and what is the measurement of bleeding. I hope you enjoy this one, and if you enjoy this one and if you find it useful, please like and share and subscribe my channel. And I'm waiting for your valuable comment, so that from your valuable comment everybody will be benefited. And if you want to know anything more about quality control and construction, please let me know. I'll come with more content like this. And thank you once again for watching me.